In this video we're just going to take a fairly quick fly through the divi interface. Divi, as you know from the lesson, is the theme that sits inside your WordPress site, and it's where you will design the different pages. And we'll look at the divi interface both in the back end, which is the screen that you see here, and on the front end. So we'll see how we use divi to make changes and add sections and content to our site direct onto our page. But first of all, let's take a look at the back end of the site, and to do that we're going to concentrate on the about page, this page, because it's relatively simple. An image, two columns, an image, and some text, and one or two little design items that we can look at how we do. So if we go to the page and we choose about, because we've got some items on the page, you'll see that Divi Builder is already set up, and you can see straight away that we have some items of content on the page. Here is an image, which is of course this image, and then we have 3 blocks of text, and those grey blocks there represent these 3 blocks of text that you see on the page. So the Divi interface, and for the purposes of this video I'm going to work outwards. So we're going to start with the grey boxes in the middle. Divi calls these modules. They are, you can call them either modules or basically the content of your site. So they contain the individual items of content that get presented on the page. So for example, if I was to insert a new module underneath the image, Divi would bring up this dialog box with all the types of modules or types of content that it contains. Most of these you'll never need to worry about, you'll never use them. But you will use image very often. You may use gallery, which is right next to the image there. You may use button to create a small button to link to important content. You would definitely use text, because that's how you add the text to the site. But a lot of them you can just kind of ignore. They're for other types of sites or other types of content. But let's say for the purposes of this demonstration that we're going to add another image underneath the image that already exists on our about page. So if I click on the image box, then up comes image module settings. Every module has this same setting box. It varies slightly depending on what the content is, but every module will bring up this dialog box, and in it there are 3 tabs: content, design, and advanced. Advanced you never need to look at. That is where web developers would add code if they want to do some very specific work. Content, rather obviously, is where you actually place the content. So whether it's text or image, that's where you select an image or write the text. Design, again, fairly obviously, is where you go through different aspects of that content and you make slight changes to the design. So for example, the color of the text, the font, the positioning, and so forth. So let's add a new image. When you click upload image, I'll go back one step actually just to show you that. The first box that appears on image modules is this box there, upload an image. And when you click on that, it takes you to your media library. Here we see media library. The images that you see in your site are there because we've added them for the purposes of this demonstration and for the lesson. If you wanted to add new items, your own images, which obviously you do, to the site, you can simply choose the tab upload files and then click select files, and that will take you into your laptop or your desktop, and you choose the images from there. For now, purpose of the demonstration, I'm just going to choose any image here. Again, some other details will come up about the image, telling you when it was uploaded, its size, its file size, and its actual dimensions. When you add images to WordPress, it creates 3 different sizes: thumbnails, medium size, full size. So in case you wanted a smaller version of the image, WordPress will have done it for you. In this case, I'm just going to add the full size image and then set. I'm not going to worry about any of the design items for now. we might look at some of those a bit later on. What we just want to do is put some content in and just see how that process works. So we've added the image, save and exit, and we can now see that a new image has appeared under our first one. Sometimes it's quite useful if you scroll right down to the bottom to add a label to the image, because once you get a lot of content in your page, it can be a bit confusing which image is which. So I might just say, for the purposes of this, it was guide upside down, so upside down image, and that means now I can see that that's referring to that particular picture. So that'll do for now. Let's click update. Takes a few seconds, and then if we go to have a look at the page, you always need to click refresh the page, which is in the browser tab. Lo and behold, we've added a new image. So let's go back. Let's delete that image and update. And I'm going to do a similar process, but I'm going to do it direct onto the front end of the site. So we're going to use the visual builder. And I'm going to create a new section, a couple of rows, and then in that we're going to put image and some text. So here we go. At the top we have this button that says build on the front end. This normally takes a sort of 10-15 seconds to load because it has to go into the database. So you probably remember from the lesson that the different coloured sections refer to the different items. So the dark grey is the module, so in this case it's referring to this image. This is the rows, in this case we have 2 rows, so you can see that the box is going around the 2 items. And this is the outer section that holds all that content. If you ever get confused about finding different aspects, you can click the purple button at the bottom, which opens up various other items that we've talked about. One of them over here on the left is wireframe view, and what that will do is quickly change the website so that it looks a bit more like the back end that we just worked on. So you can see section, row and the content, and then these buttons to add new items. But we're going to do it direct onto the page for now. So I want to add a new section, I want to add 2 rows, and I want to put an image and some text into each of those rows. So we scroll down to the bottom. Here's the blue plus button, which means, as it says for you helpfully, add a new section. So let's do that. You can pretty much ignore speciality and full width for now until you've got a bit more experience, and just add a regular section. It adds the regular section. It takes you to the next step, which is to insert however many rows you want. In our case, well, just for the sake of it, let's do one large, probably about 2/3 section and 1/3 section, and we'll put a large image in and then a small column for some text. So that's done. It then takes you to the first module, which is the larger of the two, and wants to know what type of content, what type of module do you want to put in. And I think we said we'd do the large image. Up comes your image settings dialog box that we've seen previously, content design and advanced. These look a little bit different from the back end. Here is your image box, and it's asking you to put an image in. As always, the little cog icon means the settings, so that will take you into the settings that Bin, as you know, will just delete. If you had an image in there, it would delete it. So we click the cog, it takes us to our media library as we had before. Let's choose a reasonably large image. You can see the size here because we had a column that's 2/3 width of the site, and upload the image. There it is here, and here it is on the website straight away, so you can see what you're doing. That's fine, that's good. Let's do that, and then we go to our second column and we find our little grey plus sign. You don't have to add anything in here, you could just leave it like that. You can have empty columns if you wanted, but we're going to put some text in. Scroll down, where are we at the bottom? Text. When you use this front end visual builder, it adds some dummy text here. Your content goes here. I'm just going to leave that in because that's actually saves me typing anything. I'm going to add a header. Let's So if I was having a title of this bit of text, and the easiest way to make headers stand out is just to highlight them, go up to the paragraph box here, and here is a selection of different sized headings for the sake of this. Heading 1 is normally used for the very main title of the site, so for this purpose I'm just going to use heading 2, and you can see straight away we've got larger text, and then we've got what we call the body text or the main text. So click OK, go over to the bottom right and click Save, and effectively you've added on the front end a new image and some text. Now if I wanted to go a little bit further and do some design on this new section, there's lots and lots of items you can choose. You can design all the items in Divi. So I can design the section, I can design the row, I can design the individual items, the modules. Let's start off, just for the purpose of this, with looking at some of the settings of the row. One of the main ones you'll do is a background. You can add a background colour, a background gradient, so i.e. 2 colours, an image and a video. Video, forget it for now. Image, well, it will be pointless adding a background image because we have an image, so we'd have 2 images, so that's going to look a mess. But maybe we might want a background colour. So let's add a background colour to our section. For now we'll just make it blue. What I'll do is these sliders make it lighter and change the saturation. There we are. I'm just going to leave it like that for now. It doesn't look fantastic, but it'll do for the purposes of this demonstration. So you can click OK. Always good to save as you make different steps as you go along. I could add another colour, background colour here if I wanted to. I could make, but it starts to look a bit messy. But you get the idea. You can always change section, row and modules. So I won't save that, I'll leave it as it is. But I definitely want to look at some of this text. I'd like to make the header perhaps a different colour, stand out, and maybe make this text a different colour as well. So we go into the text module, text settings appear, content, design. Again, ignore advanced. So content we looked at before, that's where we put this content in. Again, and of course, you can change it, you can add text, and it will appear. Or of course you can edit and remove. But let's go and look at a couple of design items. We've got our header. Now we made it what's called a heading 2, or H2, which is the HTML version of it. Heading 2. So let's look at doing some design on that. Go to design. We go to heading text. It's got all the different H numbers there, but we know we chose 2. If I was to make changes to that, you wouldn't see anything because there is no heading 1. So header 2. Okay, well I can, the font I'm going to leave, that's fine for now. I can make it italic, and you see the change. I can make it italic and capitalize it, or I can take the italic off, and so on and so forth. You can do small capitals. I can underline it. I can cross it out. Why you'd want to cross it out, I have no idea. And I quite like, for now, making it capital. Where do I want to position my text? Well, at the moment it's automatically positioned over to the left. Centre, right, and that means justify. That really only works on large blocks of text. I can show you that on that text in a second. I'm fine with where it is. Colour you've seen. We've done colour lots of times. Let's choose a kind of blue. Yeah, that'll do for now. Size. Well, that's way too big. You just scroll up and down. I'm going to make it about 30 pixels, maybe a bit less. That'll do. Letter spacing. I mean, just play with these. There's no need for me to go through all. Some of them are very familiar with you from word processing applications. I might have one little space in my header. Actually, I'm going to change that to capitals. Shadows. I'm not fond of shadows, but sometimes they're useful. They can look a bit cheesy if you overdo them. I'm not going to use it. Now if I wanted to look at the text as well, obviously we can close that box. Here's all our items, and I'll choose text. And we've got the same principal items that we can affect. We've got the shadow we saw, we've got the letter spacing, the text size. I'm going to make the text size 18, and I will make it white, but in order to make it white and stand out a bit more, I'm going to go back to the section, I'm going to go into the settings in the background, and I'm going to make that a bit darker. There we go, so that looks a bit better. And let's go back into our text, design, text, it looks kind of okay. I think I'll split that into 2 paragraphs, that looks a bit nicer. But there you go, you can see we've designed background colour, header, text colour, and we're starting to make some nice changes to the site. You would take much longer doing this so that it looks better than what I'm doing here. I'm just doing it very quickly. If you wanted to add a border under thing or around things, you've got a border section. So if I want, for example, a little bit like these items, to put a border just underneath the text, where are we? Border. I would just choose, this means the bottom border, so you've got all around the sides, bottom border. You need to add some pixels to make it display. Make it a little bit bigger, and I will make it blue like that. It's a little bit close to the text, so why don't I go into spacing, and here we have padding. There's 2 types of spacing on every item, margin and padding. Margin moves the entire block up and down. So for example, look, if I add margin, you see the whole thing move up and down. And then I tick this reset button here to clear. Padding adds space in between. Here's the easiest way to demonstrate that. If I was to add a background colour to this text, and then go back and add some spacing. If I add margin, as I did before, you see the whole thing goes up and down, but the text is still very close. The red background and the text is still bumping up against each other. So if I wanted to put some space in, and one of the easiest things you can do is click these link buttons in between top and bottom and left and right, and that means that they'll all have the same amount. And I add, say, 22 and roughly 22. We now have space around the box. So once again, padding adds space around a content box. Margin moves the content box itself around. Let's change that background to something just slightly nicer than that. Oh, yeah, that'll do. There we go. That'll do. Okay. Back to design. I think that looks kind of alright. Again, you've got other items in here that you can start to look at. Box shadow adds the shadow to the entire section, as you can see, and then you can mess around with that. My top design tip is be very, very sparing with shadows. They can be very effective, but they're a little bit on the naff side. They used to be all over the web a few years ago, and now what is known as flat design is considered much better. And here's a crazy new section of Divi that's only just been set up in about the last month or so. It's called Transform. Be very careful with this because it can sort of make a mess of your site quite quickly. But you can make changes to modules very easily if you transform. One of them, for example, you can move the position around, as you can see. Now, why do I say be very careful with this? Because you need to always bear in mind that there are 3 screen types, 3 screen sizes, sorry, whenever you're making a website: desktop, tablet, and mobile. So I might think to myself, well, that looks great. I'm going to put in this large, see this -202, this large negative margin, and have my text overflow with my image. Okay, it would need tidying up, but let's say you wanted to do that. Well, that's fine, you can do that, but because it looks okay on this desktop. But if I click the little phone icon here, this brings up desktop, tablet and phone. If I look at those settings on a phone, what a phone does is put everything into a single column. So it puts the text underneath the image. And therefore, because we've put that negative margin in, our text has disappeared. You won't be able to see it on a phone. Now you can reconcile that by having different margins for different items. So for example, on phone, I could simply bring that back in. I mean, if you wanted to be pedantic, you would need to really set that to 0, 0, and then it's exactly right. Similarly, tablet, again, look, it's off the page. So, tablet, bring it back. I can do a link thing as well, can't I? 0, oops. And 0. So you can use this transform box, and you can have different effects for different screen sizes. But I would say use it subtly. So for example, if I reset this back to where we were, there are other items in here where I'm not sure, look, why on earth would you want that? It's just going to make a mess of your site. Reset it. And scale. Yeah, well, you know, you might want to use it, but do check different screen sizes. See if you've done something like that and made it large, and you click OK. Bottom left of your Visual Builder screen gives you the different sizes. So, sorry, begin at desktop where we were, and then down to tablet, and down to mobile. And so you can see that increasing that size of that item has really undone the design on the tablet and the mobile. So again, if you really wanted it to be that big, you could go in, design, transform. We've made it 134% larger than it was. You would have to go into tablet and reset these, because just have it down to 100%. There we go, and 100%, and have it a different size on the phone and on. There we go, 100. Then it will work. But it's extra work for you to have to make these changes for tablet and phone. But sometimes you have to do it anyway for items. So we have desktop, it's really large, tablet and phone, it's normal size. Personally, I'm kind of not entirely sure of the point of it. But this transform is quite useful, to be able to position items just quickly without having to worry too much about the spacing and the margin. But as I say, remember to check it all on tablet and phone. I think that's probably enough for this video. So you've seen how to add new sections, rows and content modules both in the back end of Divi and in the Visual Builder. When you've finished, make sure you click Save, and also make sure that you click Exit Visual Builder, and then that takes you back into your static side, and then you can carry on working on other pages or go back into the back end and do some other work. Okay, thank you.